In the name of Allah, I, as a spokesman of the judicial power in Saudi Arabia, I'm not concerned with the other voices. As a judicial power or judicial branch, we execute or we apply the Sharia law according to the facts that we see in front of us, irrespective of other influences. And that's what the judges are qualified on. They don't look to any other influences. They deal with the facts they see in front of them. That's why I don't have any kind of impression about these responses.
The supporters of Sheikh Mansour Al-Nimr ask why he was included with a group of people charged with terror-related offences when he was just calling for peaceful demonstrations.
Truly, including him within the other individuals was according to the executive branch, but during the hearings, he was charged by criminal charges. The judiciary system cannot sentence someone unless he had crimes that he executed.
What specific crime is he guilty of that it merited the death penalty?
It revolves around generally around conducting acts that led to the killing of the innocent and confronting security officers and killing them.
Sheikh Mansour Al-Ghefary. I should just explain that was a simultaneous translation we were provided by Saudi TV, just to explain the way that came into us. Lyse, you spoke to him. He's not budging an inch, clearly.
Not budging an inch. I'm making it absolutely clear this is the remit of the Justice Ministry, that the judges make their decisions based on Sharia law. He defended the specialised courts, although the critics say those specialised courts set up in 2008 were to try terror-related charges, not dissent, which Sheikh Mansour Al-Nimr was. He was carrying out protests, calling for change within the Saudi kingdom, calling for rights for the Shiite minority. But the Justice Ministry spokesman, in a very rare intervention, it has to be said, insisted, and I asked him more than once about the charges, he insisted that Sheikh Mansour Al-Nimr was guilty of killing innocent people, including security forces. That is the main charge against him, although his family say he didn't have a gun, and that is where the dispute lies.
Yeah, because that's a big step beyond. I mean, he has said that the regime could be overthrown in Saudi Arabia if the Shiite needs are not recognised. So, I mean, that obviously, from the point of view of the kingdom, is something that they're going to battle against. Anyway.
Well, yes, very inflammatory for the kingdom. There are reports that he also called for secession if they didn't get their rights within Saudi Arabia. He was very critical, very rude criticism about after the former interior minister had died, a member of the royal family. So there are a lot of charges against him, but what the critics say is that he shouldn't have been tried in the terrorism court. He shouldn't have been given the death penalty. But again, he was absolutely adamant. These are the judicial punishments of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will continue to carry them out as it sees fit.
Right. The process that's followed, the diplomatic tit for tat, if you like, is sort of inevitable, isn't it? We would expect that. Well, you might hedge on that a little bit. No, but I just wonder how far this is going when we see the demonstrations dotted around the region.
Well, I think it escalated much more swiftly and sharply than anyone expected. There would have been expected to be protests, but the storming of the Saudi embassy in Tehran, the attacks against the consulate in Mashhad, was not expected. In fact, that was condemned by President Hassan Rouhani as ugly acts that had to be stopped. He's called for conviction of those responsible. The newspapers in Iran today are also criticizing the violence. What also wasn't expected was that at lunchtime, both the Saudi and the Iranian foreign minister were quoted as saying to the Austrians that they didn't want this to escalate further. And then within hours, it was announced from Saudi Arabia that Iranian diplomats had to leave within 48 hours, and the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia said that it would not tolerate Iran's destabilizing influence across the region.